I invite the Honorable Deputy Governor to read prayers.
Good morning. Let us pray. Almighty God, from whom all wisdom and power are derived, we beseech thee so to direct and prosper the deliberations of the Parliament now assembled, that all things may be ordered upon the best and surest foundations, for the glory of thy name and for the safety, honor, and welfare of the people of these islands. Bless our sovereign, King Charles III, William, Prince of Wales, and all the royal family. Give grace to all who exercise authority in our Commonwealth, that peace and happiness, truth and justice may be established among us. Especially we pray for the Governor of our islands, the Premier, the Speaker of the Parliament, the Leader of the Opposition, members of the Cabinet, ex-official members, members of the Parliament, the Chief Justice, and members of the Judiciary, that we may be enabled faithfully to perform the responsible duties of our high office. All this for thy great name's sake. Let us say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon us and give us peace now and always. Amen.
Please be seated. Parliament is now called to order.
Administration of oaths or affirmations. None. Reading by the Honorable Speaker of Messages and Announcements.
Good morning, everyone. In keeping with my desire to recognize persons from Parliament who are making contributions to the development of the Cayman Islands, we have quite a crowd today. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all here and to thank you and to congratulate you on this honor you will be receiving today. I would invite the Honorable Deputy Governor to do the honors of the introduction and the comments on why you are here. Honorable Deputy Governor.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Yes. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to express my sincere appreciation to you for the invitation you have extended to heads of both the private and public sector organizations to attend today's sitting of this honorable House. This is a meaningful and timely gesture, and one that appropriately recognizes their invaluable support of the government of the Cayman Islands 2026 Summer Internship Program. Mr. Speaker, the Summer Internship Program is near and dear to me and both the Deputy Governor Designate. We both started our career in the civil service as interns, and yourself. So we all have something in common, and that early exposure to the civil service has translated into me being here today. Mr. Speaker, I charge the team in the portfolio of the civil service, led by the Deputy Governor Designate, to enhance our summer internship program. And I want to give a big thank you to DC O'Ryan, Ms. Charlene, Ms. Melanie, and Wendy, all of the team in the POCS for all that they have done to get us here today. Mr. Speaker, before I proceed, I wish to highlight a recent occasion of national pride. On April 16th, the Civil Service hosted the Deputy Governor's Award ceremony, recognizing the contributions of 12 outstanding individuals who have demonstrated excellence in customer service, leadership, talent development, communication, governance, and accountability. The afternoon, which was absolutely amazing, culminated with the crowning of Ms. Giovanna Wright, principal of Sir John A. Cumber Primary School, as the Cayman Islands Government Civil Servant Employee of the Year. Ms. Wright is with us, Mr. Speaker, and I thank you for allowing her in the chamber so that I could say some really good things about her. Mr. Speaker, I would like to share a sort of snapshot of what her nominator said about Ms. Wright. Ms. Wright exemplifies servant leadership through her unwavering commitment to excellence, integrity, and the well-being of her students, staff, and wider community. She inspires those around her by fostering a culture of trust, accountability, and collaboration. Her team to deliver high-quality outcomes while embracing innovation and resilience. Guided by a strong moral compass, she leads with transparency and professionalism, ensuring that every decision reflects the highest ethical standards. She empowers her colleagues to take risks while trusting them with autonomy and actively encouraging students to develop leadership skills through structures such as prefects, sub-prefects, eco-councils, and class monitors. Her visionary approach has strengthened both academic provision and inclusivity, particularly through expanded support for students with autism spectrum disorder, while also enhancing the school's reputation and performance, including a historic rating of good in 2025. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to pause. She achieved a good rating for her school. But her school, the Sir John A. Cumber Primary School, is our largest primary school. And that is an outstanding achievement. She has set the standard for our schools across the island. Through effective communication, empowerment of staff and students, and a deep commitment to continuous improvement, Ms. Wright has cultivated an environment where excellence thrives, opportunities expand, and all stakeholders feel valued and engaged. I would like Ms. Wright to stand, thank you very much, to be acknowledged in this honorable House and to take the opportunity to congratulate Ms. Wright for this outstanding achievement. Thank you, Ms. Wright. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Similar to our Employee of the Year, Ms. Giovanna Wright, the Civil Service consistently aims for excellence in the service we give, innovation in our skills and services, and collaboration as we strive to achieve our vision of being world-class. These attributes also embody and demonstrate the effectiveness of the Cayman Islands Government Summer Internship Program. This strategic partnership celebrates a shared commitment to the development of our young people and the future of our islands. Mr. Speaker, by way of context, last year, you extended an invitation to the interns themselves, welcoming them into the House of Parliament, and recognizing their contributions, their enthusiasm, and their willingness to take part in the government's program. That movement was significant. It demonstrated to our young people that their efforts are seen, valued, and encouraged to the highest levels of national leadership. This year, Mr. Speaker, we turn our attention to those who have helped make these opportunities possible. Mr. Speaker, the Cayman Islands Government Summer Internship Program continues to be one of the most impactful initiatives for youth development. It provides young Caymanians with more than just temporary employment. It offers exposure, mentorship, skills development, and a clearer understanding of the many career pathways available to them. Through this program, Our young people are given the opportunity to work alongside experienced professionals to contribute meaningfully to national development and to begin building the confidence and competence required for long-term success in the workforce. Mr. Speaker, I am particularly pleased to report that this year we received the highest number of applications in the program history. 503 applications, Mr. Speaker. Something that we can all be proud of. Our young people, our young Caymanians are thriving and want an opportunity to work and to learn. This record level of interest speaks volumes. It reflects not only the ambition and drive of our young people, but also their desire to contribute, to learn, and to be part of something larger than themselves. However, Mr. Speaker, such a demand also presents a challenge. Without the support of our private sector partners, we would not be in a position to accommodate and assist so many young Caymanians. Quite simply, the scale of opportunity that we are able to provide today would not be possible without their collaboration. Mr. Speaker, I wish to place on record our deep appreciation to the private sector organizations who have stepped forward when called upon. Thank you. Many of these organizations already operate their own internship and training programs, yet they made space to support the Cayman Islands government's call. They rose to the challenge, recognizing that investing in our young people is not just a public responsibility, but a national one. While our civil service entities have long been leaders in this area, Mr. Speaker, last year, one particular private sector firm reached out with the intention of making a meaningful difference. They became a pilot project that saw 6 of our interns being offered locally and within the London. Strategic partner was Walker's Grand Cayman. I think Ms. Felicia is here. Thank you, Ms. Felicia. Yeah. They were our first partner, homegrown, globally known program. I extend sincere thanks to Walker's for opening the door. Because of that leadership, Mr. Speaker, we now have 16 private sector partners supporting this initiative. Special mention must also be made of the Cayman Islands Institute for Professional Accountants, who were instrumental in arranging meetings between their members and the portfolio of the civil service. Mr. Speaker, the Cayman Islands government remains the largest employer in the Cayman Islands and offers one of the most diverse range of careers available anywhere in our islands, from finance and law to environmental management, healthcare, education, infrastructure, technology, and beyond. The opportunities within the public service are truly extensive. For our young people, this means that the possibilities are virtually limitless. The summer internship program serves as a gateway and an introduction to the breadth of careers that exist within the civil service, and a platform from which many will launch successful and fulfilling professional journeys. Mr. Speaker, we must continue to invest in our youth. We must continue to create pathways for them to gain experience, develop skills, and see themselves as active contributors to the growth and prosperity of our beloved islands. This program is not just about summer employment. It is about building capacity, nurturing talent, and preparing the next generation to lead. Before I close, Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize and name the organizations that have stepped forward to offer these invaluable opportunities to our young people. I would also like to ask the representatives of each organization present here today, please stand when their name is called. So we have Ms. Candice from More Cayman. Thank you very much. Mr. Jeffrey Goddard from Olive Consulting, Blanchard, Caribbean. Ms. Dara from Grant Thornton, Cayman. Yeah. Pam Abbott from Stepping Stones. Tracy Ann Taylor from Stepping Stones. Ms. Lidra Lawrence from the Public Service Pension Board. Our Solicitor General, Ms. Raisma Sharma from Legal Affairs. Ms. Pam Green from our Cybersecurity. Yes. Ms. Leah Jackson from the JTC Group. Ms. Wendy Jackson Diddler and Ms. Nikki McCoy from our Civil Aviation Authority of the Cayman Islands. Ms. Margaret Juman from Creek and Spot Bay Primary School. Are they here? Nicole Anderson Wellman from Ministry of District Administration. Thank you. Our very own Ms. Giovanna from Sojourner Primary School. Ms. Perlina Henry Burrell from Theodore McCoy Primary School. Ms. Kayla Bogle from the Passport Office. Ms. Kim Ramon from Public Transport. Ms. Gordon Proctor from BDO Cayman Limited. Vignesh Lear from Valliston. Yes. Marilyn Lay from the Cayman Islands Institute of Professional Accountants. Ms. Paulinda Meadows Williams, Children and Family Services. Ms. Felicia Deslandis from Walkers. Leah Matthews from Ministry of Health, Environment. Christina Borden from Maples, thank you. Zanita James, Department of Counseling Services. Vanessa Cameron from Ministry of Education and Training. Ms. Kimberly Joy Wooden from Sunrise Adult. Ms. Kim? Yes. Gretchen Hammes from KPMG. And Deanne Blackman also from KPMG. Melanie Ebanks Jackson from the Portfolio of Civil Service. Simon Davis, our Director of Public Prosecutions. Maida Elliott from the Cayman National Bank. Jennifer Skinner from Deloitte. Darren Kelly and Sophia Williams from Lands and Survey. Yes. Samara Christie from PwC. Jackie Miles from PwC. Serena Powell from PwC. Mr. Baron Jacob from EY, yes sir. Orlando Desdunes from Cayman Islands Airports Authority. And Ryan Rakumar Singh and Gloria McField Nixon from POCS. We also have Ms. Laura Conley from the library and Ms. Patricia Howard Mouchette from the Department of Agriculture. Mr. Speaker, again, my sincere thanks to all our private sector partners for really making a difference. You are contributing to the future of our islands, and we sincerely thank you. Mr. Speaker, my hope is that next year when the Deputy Governor Designate is here, this entire chamber will be full. The Governor Designate forward. Mr. Speaker, before I close, I would like to also acknowledge some outstanding achievements across the civil service. It is important to recognize that excellence is not confined to any one discipline. In the vital and demanding field of environmental science research, the Cayman Islands Civil Service is standing tall on the regional and international stage. This is exemplified by the exceptional contribution of 8 scientific officers from the Department of Environment, whose expertise and dedication were showcased during a landmark deep-sea research expedition conducted at James Cook. The Cayman Islands participated in this expedition was ably led by Ms. Kelly Forsyth, please stand, who I'm pleased to note is in the chamber today. Over the course of 6 weeks, Ms. Forsyth led and participated in rigorous scientific research spanning Anguilla, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and the Cayman Islands, helping to deepen our understanding of offshore and marine resilience. Her leadership, scientific rigor reflect the very best of our civil service and bring great credit to this country. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, also present today is Mr. Justin Porter, a fellow environmental officer and a member of the Cayman Expedition Team. Alongside Ms. Forsyth and their Department of Environmental colleagues, Mr. Porter contributed to high-value research, informed marine protection, sustainable fisheries, and evidence-based environmental policy for years to come. Together, these officers and the entire team they represented have made us tremendously proud, Mr. Speaker, demonstrating how Caymanian public servants are contributing meaningfully to global scientific natural heritage for future generations. I thank you. Mr. Speaker, in closing, I once again thank you for your leadership, sir, allowing us to come here and recognize these outstanding public and private sector organizations has been truly tremendous. I extend sincere gratitude to our private sector colleagues and SAGCs, as well as our leaders within the civil service, for their unwavering support, and I commend all those who have worked diligently to make this year's program a success. Most importantly, Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge the young people of these islands. Their enthusiasm, their ambition, and their willingness to step forward gives us every reason to be confident in the future of our islands. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Premier.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Let's hear it again one more time for the DG. Excellent outline. I think we owe all of the partners a major debt of gratitude. I can't emphasize enough how much a summer internship, just one summer, can turn someone in the right direction or turn them into their calling or confirm what they're not going to do. 96 or 97, because of parental pressure, my dad wanted me to do something with numbers. Anybody who knows my dad pressured me to do numbers. So to appease him, I did a summer at EY. I knew within a week of looking at Excel spreadsheets, I was never going to be an accountant. It doesn't mean that the tutelage wasn't fantastic. I just knew this is not for me. And it helped confirm it in my mind. But I still picked up skills and learned exactly how accountants think. That's how I keep up with the Minister of Finance. So you never know how you'll still end up using it. And then I can think of examples as I scan across, being young lawyers together, Christina and I thinking about what the next generation is going to do, even if we're at different firms. The legal community of Caymanians is small, thinking about what we're going to do to help them. Whether we're on the road and right now we're trying to build industries for Caymanians now. Walkers. Walkers has produced and its alumni the DG, 2 premiers? And a DG designate. Thank you, Walkers. POCS, I covered EY, looking across. Civil servants, we've been in the trenches together. We know how much it can turn a young person's life around to just do a summer internship and just explain to them why we do things, why we don't do things. It is invaluable. It may go in a blink of an eye to us, but to the intern, it's an eternity. And we want to talk about succession in action. Fresh, and there will be. But while the news is here, and we're all in Parliament, and she happens to be here, let's congratulate the DG for a transition showing succession in action, and ask the DGD, the Deputy Governor Designate, Gloria McField-Nixon, to stand. Designate. Gloria McField-Nixon to stand. You look suited and booted. You look like the hair got done. So let's not waste the opportunity. God bless you in this transition. May the Lord help you to step into these rather large shoes and guide you in the post, that when you sit here, you take up from what this individual's remarkable legacy has left off and take the post of Deputy Governor to strength to strength. And thank you, DG, for making it possible, making it orderly, and leaving a lasting legacy. More words coming for you, but for right now, we'll recognize the idea of succession as we're talking about internships. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you all.
Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And of course, once again, thank you for availing the opportunity for us to have persons come and visit us here in the Parliament to see what we do here. And you've been very tactical in ensuring that you have respectable people come in so that we behave ourselves as the day goes on. Mr. Speaker, I was listening in as I was running a bit late, spent too much time in the garden this morning, and it was nostalgic and heartwarming and sad and everything to hear the DG talking about the next DG and the DG designating next year. DG, you will be missed. Ms. Gloria, I know you're more than capable of filling the shoes. But this morning is a small demonstration of the impact you've had on the civil service. And once again, publicly, and we'll say it another 20 times, I'm sure. Thank you, DG. Thank you. Would also like to, on behalf of the opposition, publicly congratulate Ms. Giovanna Ebanks Wright, the Civil Service Employee of the Year. Congratulations, and well deserved. And as the Deputy Governor read out the names of all involved in the internships and the partnerships between the government and the civil service, the government and the private sector, again, I started reflecting back to history, things I read about when sometimes the merchants, the private sector, had to help government with payroll and the partnership that they had and the way we grew the country. And now that we have matured as a country, we've prospered as a country, it's still important that we have those partnerships with the private sector. Still important that we work together as one country, public and private, in partnership, hand in hand. So thank you to all those in the private sector who step forward and work with us and take part in these programs. So on behalf of the opposition, we welcome you all to Parliament. Hopefully this is not the last time we'll see you. I know some of the civil servants don't want to come here because they have to sit in here until the wee hours of the morning with us. But we would like to also see you up there visiting us from time to time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to say that obviously my leader can speak on all our behalfs, but I'd like to take a little bit of special attention on behalf of the good people of Georgetown Central to those who you're recognizing today. Thank you, Deputy Governor, for doing what you did. You've done such a diligent job in outlining the importance of the people in the gallery today. But it's so interesting, and I want to put things in context of how important each and every one of you are. Because I know that over the last 2-3 years, immigration and labor has been the big political talk, fights, arguments, debates, the radio, in Parliament, trying to get it right about successful opportunities for the next generation. And while we're in here arguing and debating about it, trying to figure it out, you have been the silent angels doing the job, not talking about it, doing it. And I congratulate you so much, and I thank you for being the angels in the choir doing the job. Mr. Speaker, it's so interesting that the two topics that the Deputy Governor spoke about was probably the two most important things for this country: the next generation and the environment. And to know that our department are taking so many leaps and bounds and steps on doing their part, again, quietly, but very effectively, I want to say congratulations. And that too has been a hot topic, the environment versus development. Continue to be the silent angels doing your protection, no matter what these politicians inside you say. You're doing the right thing. Mr. Speaker, I'll close by saying thank you on behalf of the people of Georgetown Central. And speaking of Georgetown Central, the Premier spoke about our DGD and saying she has very large shoes to fill. You see, people don't always talk about the fact of what happens when you have a bigger foot than the shoes that you're going to fill. And that's how much confidence I have in the DGD. Congratulations, Ms. Gloria. I look forward to working with you for the Cayman Islands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me if I didn't join voices with my colleagues in recognizing the outstanding contributions to all the persons named. I certainly am not going to run the risk of naming too many names, but as Minister responsible for education, it is certainly very fitting to have our Deputy Governor Employee of the Year Award winner, Ms. Giovanna Wright Ebanks, principal in our system, of whom I'm extremely, extremely, extremely proud. She happens to also come from the school, the primary school that I attended, the Sir Johnny Campbell Primary School. And her leadership is outstanding, but what's even more outstanding is the person that she is. And having to get to know her over the years, especially over the last year, and seeing the commitment, the passion that she has for advocating for her staff, her students, her school. And that is the type of leadership that is needed across the system. I also want to say how proud I was attending the evening's functions, and it was 12 nominations, Deputy Governor, and 5 came from the Ministry of Education and Training. I did threaten the Deputy Governor, though, to give him a little secret. I did tell him that if one of my team didn't win with a 5 in 12 chance, I was going to get up and boo. But all jokes aside, Ms. Giovanna deserved this award and this recognition. And certainly, I will say here today, sometimes they say you have to speak it forward. 16 years ago, when I took up the responsibility of Minister of Education, there was another young, outstanding principal in our system at the time. Her name was Sitonya Cacho. And at the time, we brought her into the ministry with the view that she would be a future leader. And today, she sits as the chief officer. All I can say to Ms. Wright is, I know you love your school, and your school loves you. But your system needs you more. I'll stop there. I also want to pay special recognition to a number of other individuals, outstanding individuals, who were recognized here today. One of them is a childhood friend of mine. We've known each other. We actually met before we were born, because our mothers were pregnant at the same time with us, Mr. Baron Jacobs. And so I can remember hearing that story being told to me many times by his mother when I first met her as a young boy. And so Baron continued to make the outstanding contributions. All I can say to my former profession is we need to do a better job at attracting more Caymanians to it. I am committed to assisting in any way I can. The accounting profession provides for some of the best possible training any young person can have. And so I want to encourage young Caymanians to take up the profession of accountancy. We have 3 professional accountants here in our ranks. Myself, Mr. Roy McTaggart, our first Caymanian CPA, a legend in the profession. Mr. Chris Saunders, also a qualified accountant as well. And so it just goes to show the type of training that the profession can afford you with the skill sets to be able to offer service at the very, very highest level in the country. I want to especially recognize a number of persons from my beautiful district. We got a lot of West Bayers that were mentioned. West was well represented today, and I'm extremely proud of the leadership that is coming out of our district. It just goes to show that when we invest in people, and a lot of it does start with internships, when we invest in people, this is the sort of return that we're looking at and we're looking for. So every year when we come down here and vote an increasing number for the scholarships and bursaries and training vote, I think this year budget is $34 million. That is a significant investment in the future. And so it's now to all of us who are here, and especially those who have been recognized, to play your role in ensuring we harness that talent and we get a positive return on investment. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. There is a direct correlation between my 2 ministries, because the biggest contributor, in my opinion, to economic development is a highly skilled, agile workforce. And so the work in the Ministry of Education and Training is a key investment and a key economic development tool. And we must ensure that we are strategic about how we invest in our scholarships, training, grants, and all of those monies that we invest in our young people. And so on that note, I want to also recognize Ms. Christina Borden and Career Masters and the work that they're doing, because that is a program that I think can positively contribute to the development of our young people here in Cayman. And so, Mr. Speaker, I noticed that the order paper is relatively light of anything controversial today, so I don't have much fear of bad behavior in front of our guests. Thank you for this initiative, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Minister for Caymanian Employment and Immigration.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. And good morning to all. Mr. Speaker, it's great to have so many wonderful people in here who's contributed to our country's success, in particular our young people's success. Becoming a young minister in this, when I was given immigration, labor, and pension, it was fitting because I had some knowledge coming in of what I would be up against. It was also an advantage because I had worked with the Minister of Education and we already had a relationship in what we wanted to do. I knew that this was going to be a tall task. What the Minister of Education and I had to agree upon is how we were going to do this together. And it's often, the civil service is often described as being very siloed. I knew that he wanted to ensure that the youngsters that were on scholarship were coming home to jobs and opportunities, and he needed to understand that I needed to have the names of all of those young people. And right away we struck the relationship that information sharing had to be part of our mutual agreement. What I also had at my advantage are these folks. This made it extremely easy for me to do my job, and it still makes it easy today. April 30th, I think just about all of us in here celebrated a year of being in government, and it has been a fantastic journey. But the major part of that journey for me has been working with a lot of these folks here. I have been contacted just about every week from people in this audience to say, how can I help? And that has made my job so much easier. There hasn't been any doors shut, there's been doors open. I get calls just about every day from young people all over the world that are on scholarship, that want to come home. And it's easy when I have colleagues that I can pick up the phone or I can send an email to and call to ensure our young people are given a door that's going to be open. It is very important. Mr. Speaker, about 8 months ago, we created the National Development or the Workforce Development Committee. When the Premier and I sat down and talked about this committee, we wanted to ensure that this committee wasn't just a government-focused committee. We wanted to diversify this committee of every walk of life, and we have done that. This committee has been given a very tall task. Do not give me a report. Give me a mandate to implement a program that is going to benefit 1,500 young people every year. And they are doing that. A major mandate of that group is to ensure that by the end of this year, we have a national internship program. And that is well underway. And these folks are a major part of what that internship program is going to morph into. Too often, we have our young people emailing just about everyone and their grandfather to find an internship. We need to be able to have that housed in one place. And that's what we're working on. So when I have these folks in here, it is going to be important that we continue as the civil service, as the public service, and as leaders of our country to continue to collaborate. We know how important this is. In 1990, I went to Cayman Islands High School with our current DGDG, and we knew that we had the world as our oyster. We knew that. It's less than 20,000 people that lived in the country. And when Ms. Gloria and I graduated, we knew that we were destined to make our life the way that we wanted to. That has changed for our young people. Today, Cayman has grown. The world is 8 billion. It is a major capacity out there now. And we have to be able to protect our kids and ensure that opportunities are there. I remember at 16 years old, graduating from the Cayman Islands High School, and I didn't start college until 1991. And my mother didn't want me to just hang out. So she packaged me up, and I had an interview with Ms. Francine Gardner at the old personnel department in the Glass House. Ms. Gardner was one of the first people that opened the door for me. And while the job wasn't what I wanted to do, she placed me at the Lions Pool. And I didn't want to be a swim instructor, but she knew the importance of work. She knew the importance of work. And she gave me the opportunity to enhance my skills of work. That job led me to becoming a social worker because I enjoyed serving young people, in particular those that didn't have the opportunities of what I had had. It is going to be extremely important that we continue with the partnership, the collaboration, and that our newfound freedom of calling on the private sector to support our people is going to be a breath of fresh air. I salute you all. I thank you for all of the work that you continue to do. I remain accessible to all of you. Our government, my particular ministry, owes you a consistent debt, but I also will challenge you to help us continue to move as many of our young people into positions and up the ladder. Thank you guys for all that you do. God bless you, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think it would be remiss of me not to say a few words. And I started to jot down all of the names as I looked up in the gallery, and I think that in the interest of time, I better not take that approach. What I see here, Mr. Speaker, is representation of environmental protection, health, the enhancement of the civil service, legal training, recruitment for Caymanians, aviation, mentorship, legal training, social work, insurance. The list goes on, Mr. Speaker. Education, I want to just reiterate what Minister Anglin said earlier about the Civil Servant of the Year, Ms. Giovanna. The thing that stands out to me about this lady is her heart. And I've had the privilege of watching her lead Sir John A. Cumber Primary School. I think it's safe to say that she sees every student as one of her children. And she has gone above and beyond, and I'm so proud that she has received the award that she is most deserving of. And I want to give a shout out this morning to one of my former professors, Miss Layla Jackson, who is in the gallery, and the assistant clerk who is in the back busy working, Miss Nordra Walcott, also asked me if I could highlight that she is happy that you have been acknowledged this morning. And the list goes on. Like I said, I don't want to get in trouble. I did ask Miss Heather if it is Melanie or Michelle in the audience, and I was right. I got it right. Melanie. So again, I wasn't able to speak just yesterday when she was here with her dad, and what a beautiful tribute it was that Deputy Governor gave to Captain Eugene. So since I didn't have an opportunity to speak then, I will certainly say that it is an honor to have women like you in the civil service. Wendy, who I went to high school with, so happy that you are representing women in aviation, along with Nikki, who has been a mentor from high school. Christina Bodden, who I would have to say not only mentors young students, but she was actually the first woman when I became a member of parliament. My very first trip, I went to her house, and she made sure I was ready to go to London. And I even left with a designer handbag, which I actually have today. So I want to just acknowledge that it's women like Christina that, when we talk about women empowerment, I couldn't lose the opportunity to just say, I hope that inspires another woman today to pay it forward. And who else? I think I better be careful. Miss Paulinda. Again, the work that people like Miss Paulinda, behind the scenes, it's a big weight to carry when you're dealing with at-risk children. And being the Minister of Health, I've seen a lot of situations recently that keep you up at night. And I just want to acknowledge all of the hard work that she has done. Leah from the Ministry of Health, I think I better sit down or we are going to have a long morning. But Mr. Speaker, the future is bright. We have a lot of women representing our country. Wendy Adam, Deanne Blackman, many of them, as Minister Anglin said, from West Bay, but certainly proud today to see. And I want to thank you for using this opportunity for us to highlight the women and men in our community. And last but certainly not least, our Deputy Governor Designate, who we all are excited to see, and we thank Deputy Governor for the way in which he is transitioning his role into very capable hands. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Member for Cayman West and Little Cayman and Minister of Home Affairs and Cayman Brac.
Mr. Speaker, don't forget district administration, please.
I was getting to that, man. You got to respect my age, and I'm slow sometimes. Getting up there.
I don't think so, Mr. Speaker, but thank you for the opportunity. I want to speak about the internship opportunities, and I'm pretty sure I completed my internships just after you. So I know you're not getting up in age. But, Mr. Speaker, I did benefit from similar internships within the civil service, actually, because I knew that public service was where I always wanted to be. But I think it's very heartwarming to me to see all of the community and national partners that we have in this gallery here today. That's providing those opportunities for young Caymanians. I've heard it before in this house, in this chamber. While we cannot guarantee equal outcome, we must provide equal opportunity. And I think that's important. That is our mission as employers, as community stakeholders, as fellow Caymanians, to provide every opportunity we can to build our people up, to ensure that the next generation has a place here in their country. Just yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I had a conversation with a mother who, and I also shared the email with my colleague, Minister Miles. You see, Mr. Speaker, although I completed internships as a high school, a college graduate, even myself, it took me more than 2 years to secure full-time employment here at home after graduating with a degree. Internships are important, but we must continue to develop and build our young people so that they can provide back and give back to this country. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for bringing these partners. I thank you for all that you are doing for the young and new. You will continue to do. But, Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to use this opportunity to say that if any of you need a software engineer, I have one in my email inbox, and that is just one of many. So please, you know where to find me, reach out to me, and we can do this together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Well, once again, I'd like to thank you all. You can leave whenever you please. You don't have to stay all day. I would appreciate the longer you stay, as the leader opposition suggested, the better they'll behave. And I might even be able to take a little snooze here while you all are here. But jokes aside, you've heard how much emphasis the members of Parliament place on what you're doing and their appreciation for what you're doing. And I'm sure that I can speak on behalf of the parents of the children that you will be offering internships, that they will be forever grateful for opportunities that you give to their children. So I encourage you to do so. And I expect to see all you back here, next year. And I can give a little certificate to you that I want you to call up your business friends and say, you see what I got from Parliament? But this is how we get this. You sign up to the internship program with the government, right? And display it in a proper place so that when your bosses come in, you can use that as a demonstration of your commitment and your community and the social work that you do. Thank you all very much. God bless.
Personal explanations. None. Presentation of papers and reports. Report of the 74th Westminster Seminar on Effective Parliaments, March the 9th to the 13th, 2026. to be laid on the table by the elected member for Red Bay.
Elected member for Red Bay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me just grab the sergeant will get it from the podium, please. Lectern. Thank you, sir.
You've been here a year now, and I can soon stop you all from reading your speeches. You don't need a lectern.
You've been another 6 months, sir.
That's standing order, say.
I see plenty.
Okay.
Plenty of folks have been here longer than me, still reading. No. Don't fret. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to present to this Honourable House pursuant to Standing Order 26.4, and I'm pleased to present it with these wonderful folks who were here. The report of the Cayman Islands delegation, which attended the 74th Westminster Seminar on Parliament on Effective Parliaments, held in London from the 9th to the 13th of March this year. Thank you, sir. Mr. Speaker, the seminar brought together parliamentarians, officials, and clerks from across the Commonwealth, with some 27 parliaments represented, from Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, the Pacific, North America, and the British Isles. And the Cayman Islands delegation, Mr. Speaker, consisted of Honourable Nicholas DaCosta, Mrs. Tichelle McLean, our own parliamentary procedural clerk, and myself, the member for Red Bay. The breadth of participation from across the Commonwealth made for rich and informative discussions with colleagues sharing experience across different parliamentary systems. Regardless of our differences, Mr. Speaker, many common challenges were evident during the week as we discussed issues and concerns. And over the course of the week, delegates examined key aspects of effective parliamentary practice, including the role and impartiality of the Speaker, parliamentary standards and privileges, and the importance of legislative scrutiny in holding the executive to account. A few aspects of the program were particularly instructive, Mr. Speaker. These included a question and answer session with the Right Honourable Sir Lindsay Hoyle, MP, Speaker of the House of Commons, and a session on communication skills, both directly relevant to our work as parliamentarians. And Mr. Speaker, it was interesting in listening to Speaker Hoyle, who has visited Cayman, who many of us in here has met, of how much he still is very involved with his constituents and his constituency. And he noted that he attends as many events as he invited to, even if he said, quite somewhat humorously, even if it is only to open an envelope. He will be there to open that envelope. During the seminar, Mr. Speaker, we were also given a demonstration of how artificial intelligence is being used to create highly realistic video content and the challenges that this poses for parliaments today. Importantly, the lesson also highlighted how artificial intelligence is already being used within parliaments to improve efficiency and support legislative work. It was noted, Mr. Speaker, that Belize is emerging as a leader in our region in this regard, an area of investigation by this Honourable House. Delegates also examined how committee systems, research services, and parliamentary resources can strengthen scrutiny, work that is highly relevant to our own parliament. In addition to the evolving role of technology in Parliament, the seminar also addressed modern challenges facing parliaments, including safety, security, diversity, and inclusion. And Mr. Speaker, Minister DaCosta and I both are members of the Standing House Committee, and I can confirm that the security of the Parliament and of those of us who work in here and what we're doing to make it easier to obtain access for people to get to their parliament, particularly people with mobility challenges, for instance. These are matters, sir, that we are contemplating within that committee. So the things we discussed there are certainly things that we are looking at here. Mr. Speaker, the seminar also provided valuable opportunities for informal engagement, including a dinner with colleagues from the overseas territories and a reception at the Speaker's residence, marking the launch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association's new strategic plans. A tour of the House of Commons, often referred to as the Mother of Parliaments, was also educational and inspiring, as was our participation in the Commonwealth Day celebrations. Mr. Speaker, the seminar and the events surrounding the seminar were informative and allowed us to build relationships with our peers across the Commonwealth. It provided an opportunity to learn from colleagues, exchange ideas, and reflect on how we can continue to improve the effectiveness of our own Parliament here, sir. And I want to place on record the sincere appreciation of the delegation to the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, particularly CPA UK, for organising the seminar and supporting participation by parliaments such as our own. I also want to recognise the work of the Clerk of the Parliament, Mrs. Zena Marin-Chin, as well as Mrs. Tichelle McLean and other staff in the Parliament whose efforts locally helped to facilitate the delegation's participation and preparation, Mr. Speaker. In addition, I want to also place on record the appreciation of the delegation, in particular, Minister DaCosta and myself, to MP Bambos Charalambos and his team for hosting Minister DaCosta and me in the Southgate and Wood Green constituency. On that visit, sir, we visited Alexandra Palace, known as the People's Palace, a 153-year-old iconic North London landmark, built as a community space and park. So despite the name Palace, the word Palace being in the name, it was built to serve people. It is used daily for a myriad of purposes, from ice skating, concerts, to music and TV productions. Just recently, Mr. Speaker, I found a record. Those of you who know me know I like music. And the record was actually recorded, the concert recorded at that venue. That tour made us think of how much more we could be doing with some of our own iconic places, sir. Such as, for example, just to give one, Pedro St. James National Historic Site. We also visited St. Michael's School, where we had the chance to interact with teachers and students. And we spent time with the 360 Collective Charity Group, learning how that grassroots organization supports people in ways that complement the work of the elected member. That visit in the constituency provided valuable insight into a UK MP's constituency work, illustrating how members there engage with their communities, and offered a useful comparison to our own work here at home, particularly, sir, the similarities we share. The report before members provides an account of the seminar, offers a useful window into the work of the delegates during an engaging and valuable week, sir. I would encourage members to have a look at it. Indeed, I encourage the wider public to review it. I would suspect it should be on the Parliament's website at some point. And to get an insight into the breadth of the work being undertaken by the CPA to assist us in not only maintaining but improving this standards that we have here, and to ensure that we continually improve so that we become an increasingly effective Parliament. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, I would encourage this Honourable House to engage further with colleagues in jurisdictions such as Belize, where discussions during the seminar, as I mentioned, highlighted the use of artificial intelligence to improve parliamentary efficiency. There may be, and I'm sure there are, practical lessons we can explore as we continue to improve the efficiency in our own Parliament and to strengthen our capacity for scrutiny and uphold high standards here, sir. With that, I thank you.
Immigration, Transition, Grant of the Right to be Caymanian, Order 2026, to be laid on the table by the Honourable Minister of Caymanian Employment and Immigration.
Honourable Minister of Caymanian Employment and Immigration.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this Honorable House the Immigration Transition Grant of the Right to be Caymanian, Order 2026.
So ordered.
Report of the Standing Business Committee, third meeting of the 2026 session of the Cayman Islands Parliament, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Premier, member of the Standing Business Committee.
Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay on the table of this Honorable House the report of the Standing Business Committee, third meeting of 2025-26 session of the Cayman Islands Parliament.
So ordered.
Report of the Standing Business Committee, fourth meeting of the 2025-2026 session of the Cayman Islands Parliament, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Premier, member of the Standing Business Committee.
Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay on the table this Honorable House report of the Standing Business Committee, fourth meeting of the 25-26 session of the Cayman Islands Parliament.
So ordered.
Ministry of Finance and Economic Development 2025, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development.
Minister of Finance and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this Honorable House the 2025 annual report of the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development.
So ordered. Does the Honorable Minister wish to speak thereto?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, just briefly. Mr. Speaker, the Office of the Auditor General issued an unqualified opinion on the financial statements of the Ministry for the year ended 31st of December 2025. An unqualified opinion, it signifies that the information contained in the financial statements are accurate and can be relied upon. Mr. Speaker, as shown on page 9 of the annual report, during the 12-month period ending 31st December 2025, the Ministry comprised of 91 staff members, of whom 78 or 86% were Caymanian. 68% of staff were female, and the majority of staff were 46 years of age or older. During the 2025 financial year, the Ministry continued to play a central role in maintaining sound fiscal management, strengthening transparency, and advancing reforms to modernize the government's public financial management framework. Key achievements included the preparation and publication of the pre-election economic financial update, or preview, and the development and presentation of the 2026-2028 strategic policy statement, which provided an update on the government's fiscal position and established medium-term policy and expenditure framework for the new administration. The Minister also prepared the 2026-2027 budget, ensuring alignment with national priorities while maintaining compliance with the principles of responsible financial management under the framework for fiscal responsibility. Significant progress was also made in advancing the government's budget modernization. Continued implementation of an outcome-based budgeting framework, redesign of budget documents, and the delivery of extensive workshops across the public service, and commencing legislative review to strengthen the link between the public expenditure and measurable results. These reforms are expected to improve transparency, performance measurement, and strategic decision-making across government. The Ministry strengthened financial reporting and accountability through the timely gazettal of quarterly core financial reports and the completion of the audited 2021 entire public sector annual report, reinforcing transparency and improving the quality and reliability of fiscal information available to Cabinet and Parliament. Further progress was achieved in strengthening procurement governance, enhancing government-wide management frameworks, and improving the quality and availability of economic and statistical outputs to support evidence-based policymaking and investment decisions. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry recorded total revenue of $12.705 million in 2025. Total revenue of $12.705 million in 2025, which was derived primarily from the sale of outputs to Cabinet, together with a small amount of investment income earned on deposits held with Treasury. Operating expenditures totaled $12.705 million, resulting in a break-even position for the year. Total assets increased to $15.846 million. Net worth stood at $14.337 million, and the cash and cash equivalents increased to $14.099 million, supported by positive operating cash flows of approximately $1.539 million. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the staff and management of the Ministry for their hard work during 2025, and I look forward to successes in the years to come. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ministry of Education and Training 2025 Annual Report to be laid on the table by the Honourable Minister of Education and Training.
Honourable Minister of Education and Training.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this Honourable House the annual report of the Ministry of Education and Training for the year ended 31st December 2025.
So ordered. Does the Honourable Minister wish to speak thereto?
Just briefly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Office of the Auditor General issued an unqualified opinion on the financial statements of the Ministry for the year ended 31 December 2025. An unqualified opinion signifies that the information contained in the financial statements are accurate and can be relied upon. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to share the many positive strides made by the Ministry of Education and Training in 2025, a year marked by progress, innovation, and a steadfast commitment to the success of our students, educators, and communities. Investing in Caymanians and local talent. We welcomed 88 new educators to the government schools, including 36 Caymanians, with 8 newly qualified through the ministry scholarships. We honored 283 long-serving employees, some with up to 4 decades of service, who have helped to shape generations of Caymanians. Student achievement and opportunity. 176 students graduated with 7 or more Level 2 passes, including math and English. 2 students were recognized by the Caribbean Examination Council, merit list for outstanding performance. One of our primary school students made history as the youngest in the Caribbean to pass CSEC examinations in math and human and social biology. 3 outstanding students achieved the prestigious Government High School Award, empowering them to study at top global universities. Workforce development and career readiness. In 2025, 288 Caymanians benefited from programs like Ready to Work, Passport to Success, and the National Internship Program. Ready to Work provided 83 unemployed Caymanians with training, mentorship, and support for long-term employment. Quality education. All 3 government high schools and the Further Education Center achieved good ratings in external inspections. None of our government schools are rated unsatisfactory, and overall, half of our schools are rated good, and they are determined to move to excellent. In summary, the Ministry of Education and Training has delivered measurable results and reaffirmed its commitment to equipping every learner with the tools to thrive. These achievements are a testament to the dedication of our educators, staff, and partners, and to the support of this Honourable House by way of the budgetary allocations that we receive. Let us continue to invest in our people, our schools, our future. Together, we are building an inclusive, adaptive, world-class education system for the Cayman Islands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Office of the Auditor General, Cayman Islands, 25 providing value to the people of the Cayman Islands, March 2026, to be laid on the table by the chairman of the Standing Public Accounts Committee and the elected member for Georgetown East.
Chairman of the Standing Public Accounts Committee, an elected member for Georgetown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this honourable Parliament the annual report, including the audited financial statements of the Office of the Auditor General for the year ended December 31st, 2025.
So ordered. Does the honourable member wish to speak thereto?
Very briefly, sir, just to let members know that the independent public auditors of the Office of the Auditor General are Berman Fisher, and they issued an unqualified opinion on the financial statements of the office. It was dated March 24th, 2026. So, Mr. Speaker, the most significant event in 2025 for the Auditor General's office is that the we did have a new Auditor General who took over from the 1st of July 2025, and I have to say, Mr. Speaker, there has been a very smooth transition into the office by the new Auditor General, Mr. Patrick Smith. So I wanted to thank all of the staff of the Auditor General's office, including two deputies, Mr. Sobers and Ms. Angela Cullen, who support the Auditor General in the completion of his work and executing his duties. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
2025-2026 Annual Report of the Standing Public Accounts Committee to be laid on the table by the Chairman of the Standing Public Accounts Committee and the elected member for Georgetown East.
Chairman of the Standing Public Accounts Committee, an elected member for Georgetown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this honourable Parliament the 2025-2026 Annual Report of the Standing Public Accounts Committee.
So ordered. Does the member wish to speak thereto?
Very briefly, Mr. Speaker, this annual report, it covers the period of this session, 2025-26 session of Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, the information is a good summary of all the activities of the committee and the details of what it accomplished during the year.
Thank you.
Office of the Auditor General, Cayman Islands, Financial Reporting of the Cayman Islands Government, General Report, 31st of December 2024, October 2025. To be laid on the table by the Chairman of the Standing Public Accounts Committee and the elected member for Georgetown East.
Chairman of the Standing Public Accounts for Georgetown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Table the second report that is to come, which is a part of this, which is the report of the Standing Public Accounts Committee on the report. So I'd like to table, with your permission, I'd like to table both reports. Briefly, Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General prepared and issued this report for financial reporting of the Cayman Islands government.
You have to lay them first and then discuss them. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So ordered. Does the honourable member wish to speak thereto?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very briefly, the Auditor General completed that report, which basically was an update at the time of the status of government audits. And the committee held public hearings and had witnesses before it to question them on various issues and matters that were contained in that report. So I commend the report to this honourable Parliament and to the members who might be interested in what it contains. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Cayman Islands Law Reform Commission Annual Report, number 21, 1st of April 2025 to the 31st of March 2026. To be laid on the table by the Honourable Attorney General, ex officio member responsible for the portfolio of legal affairs.
Honorable, Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning. Mr. Speaker, I seek the leave of this House to lay on the table the annual report of the Law Reform Commission covering the period 1st April 2025 to 31st March 2026.
So ordered. Does the honourable member wish to speak thereto?
Mr. Speaker, with your leave?
Yes.
Sir, Mr. Speaker, the report, as I said, covers the activities of the Commission from 1st April 2025 to 31st March 2026. Mr. Speaker, the Commission's core mandate under the Law Reform Commission Act is to study and keep under constant review the laws of the Cayman Islands with a view to informing their systematic development and reform. The membership of the commissions comprises of 7 part-time commissioners supported by a dedicated team of 4 full-time legal and administrative staff. Mr. Speaker, the current commissioners are Mr. Hector Robinson, KC, Chairman, Mr. Honorable Justice Alexander Henderson, KC, retired, Mr. Vaughn Carter, Attorney at Law, Mr. Abraham Topel, Attorney at Law, Dr. M. Teresa Pitcairn, Attorney at Law, Ms. Rashma Sharma, KC, Solicitor General, and Mr. Simon Davies, Director of Public Prosecutions. Mr. Speaker, the legal and administrative staff of the Commission are Mr. Jose Griffith, a Director, Ms. Katrina Steele, Senior Legislative Counsel, Ms. Felicia Connor, Crown Counsel 2, and Ms. Sharon Solomon, Legal Administrative Assistant. Mr. Speaker, in 2025, the Commission welcomed the addition of Ms. Teresa Pitcairn to the cohort. Dr. Pitcairn is a highly regarded Caymanian attorney at law with over 2 decades of legal experience in the offshore industry and a well-established history of service in public life, governance, and legislative development. Her well-rounded perspective on reform will serve to further strengthen the Commission's work, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, during the reporting period, the Commission undertook an ambitious and wide-ranging program of law reform. A key aspect of the Commission's work is public consultation, ensuring that law reform is informed by the views and experience of the community. On the 27th of March 2026, the Commission published 2 significant discussion papers for public consultation. The first, Mr. Speaker, addressing spent convictions, that examines the operation of the Criminal Record Spent Conviction Act in response to a Cabinet referral. This review was prompted by practical difficulties in administering the Act, as well as identified anomalies within the existing framework. The Commission is considering options to establish a clearer, more efficient, and fairer system, and one that appropriately balances the rehabilitation of offenders with the need to protect the public. The second discussion paper, Mr. Speaker, addresses the common law forfeiture rule, a long-standing common law principle preventing individuals from benefiting from the estate of a person whose death they have unlawfully caused. The Commission is carefully examining whether the strict application of this rule remains appropriate in all circumstances, particularly, Mr. Speaker, in complex cases such as manslaughter, cases involving diminished responsibility, or situations involving coercive control. The review considers whether legislative reform could promote outcomes that are more proportionate, transparent, and equitable. Mr. Speaker, the Commission is also advancing important work arising from the 2025 referendum, reflecting the express will of the Caymanian people. Mr. Speaker, following majority support for the introduction of a national lottery, the Commission has been tasked with examining appropriate regulatory frameworks. This includes identifying effective mechanisms for oversight and transparency, ensuring robust safeguards against gambling, related harm, and analyzing comparative models from other jurisdictions. The Commission is approaching this work in a careful and methodical manner, consistent with Cayman's established standards in public finance, procurement integrity, and financial crime prevention. Similarly, Mr. Speaker, following majority support for the decriminalization and consumption of possession of small amounts of cannabis, the Commission is undertaking a comprehensive review of the legal and policy considerations involved. This includes examining appropriate possession thresholds, administrative penalties, alignment with existing drug enforcement frameworks and international obligations, and the broader social impacts of reform. Particular attention is being given to safeguarding vulnerable populations and ensuring that any proposed regime reflects principles of proportionality, harm reduction, and responsible regulation. Mr. Speaker, discussion papers on both of these matters are expected to be published for public consultation in mid-2026. Beyond these areas, Mr. Speaker, the Commission is progressing a number of significant and diverse reform initiatives. The Commission, sir, is in the final stages of developing a comprehensive consumer protection framework aimed at promoting a fair, competitive marketplace while ensuring that consumers have access to appropriate safeguards. This includes consideration of whether a dedicated consumer protection body should be established and whether the consumer protection mandates of existing sector-specific bodies should be enhanced, Mr. Speaker. No doubt these recommendations will be eagerly awaited by businesses and consumers alike. Mr. Speaker, the Commission is also examining the regulation of cremation, an area where there are currently no dedicated legislative framework. In the area of employment and social policy, Mr. Speaker, the Commission is reviewing the legal framework for parental leave and menstrual leave. This work seeks to address, Mr. Speaker, inconsistencies between the public and private sectors, reduce ambiguity, and promote inclusive and equitable workplaces and educational environments. Mr. Speaker, the Commission is also undertaking a technical but important review of monetary amounts specified in legislation, many of which are now outdated. Consideration is being given, sir, to more flexible mechanisms, such as updating amounts through secondary legislation and adopting a unit-based model linked to economic indicators. In the property law sphere, Mr. Speaker, the Commission is examining the severance of joint tenancies with a view to addressing practical difficulties that arise where co-owners cannot agree, and to determine whether unilateral severance should be permitted under the law. Mr. Speaker, additional ongoing projects include a review of legislation relating to hate crimes, the modernization of defamation law, continued penal code reform, with the current phase focusing on sexual offenses and gender-based violence, and the reform, Mr. Speaker, of successions and wills legislation, including addressing emerging issues such as digital assets. Mr. Speaker, in addition to its substantive law reform work, the Commission has undertaken steps to strengthen its internal processes. Notably, it has developed and implemented a project impact analysis tool, which enables a more structured approach to prioritizing law reform initiatives. This tool assesses projects based on their potential impacts across key areas, including social outcomes, economic considerations, governance, human rights, and environmental factors. Mr. Speaker, this represents an important step in ensuring that the Commission's resources are directed towards projects of greatest national significance. Mr. Speaker, before I conclude, I take this opportunity to acknowledge a significant milestone that occurred during the reporting period. That is, Mr. Speaker, the 20th anniversary of the Law Reform Commission. Mr. Speaker, over the past 2 decades, the Law Reform Commission has played an integral role in shaping and strengthening the legal framework of the Cayman Islands. The relevance of the Commission's work is reflected in a number of recommendations that have been implemented through legislative reform. Most recently, Mr. Speaker, this House passed 2 bills developed by the Reform Commission, the Registered Land Amendment Act 2026 and the Administrative Appeals Tribunal Act 2026. Mr. Speaker, this milestone also provides an opportunity to recognize the contributions of past and present commissioners and legal team whose expertise and dedication have underpinned the Commission's achievements. Mr. Speaker, as it marks its 20th anniversary, the Commission reflects on a sustained commitment to ensuring that the law remains modern, coherent, and responsive to the needs of the community. Mr. Speaker, the work outlined in this report reflects the commitment. It also highlights the importance of public engagement in the law reform process, and I encourage honourable members and the wider community, Mr. Speaker, to participate in the Commission's consultations. Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge and commend to this House of Parliament the 21st Annual Report of the Law Reform Commission, and in doing so, sir, I want to again thank the Law Reform Commissioners and the staff of the Commission, Mr. Speaker, for the continuing stellar work. I thank you, sir.
Portfolio of the Civil Service, Annual Report and Financial Statements for the year ended 31st December 2025, May 2026, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Deputy Governor, ex-officio member responsible for the portfolio of the Civil Service.
Honorable Deputy Governor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this honorable House the annual report and financial statements for the portfolio of the Civil Service for the year ending 31st of December 2025.
So ordered. Does the honorable member wish to speak thereto?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Yes, please. Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, today is a historic day. You have heard the Minister for Education and Minister for Finance lay his annual reports for those ministries today. Today, I am laying the annual report and financial statements for the portfolio of the Civil Service. And Mr. Speaker, another history-making occasion is that the portfolio of the Civil Service received its annual report from the Auditor General on Tuesday, and we are in Parliament on Friday. Mr. Speaker, you helped make that happen. Thank you very much. Premier and all of my cabinet colleagues, Her Excellency the Governor, thank you. I think it was the quickest round robin in the history of our cabinet. We got it approved in about 20 minutes. And today we are here to lay on the table of this honorable House the financial statements for the portfolio of the Civil Service. So, Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General has rightly reports tabled in a timely manner. And I want the Auditor General to take note that today, 30 days ahead of the statutory deadline of 31st of May, 3 annual reports and financial statements have been laid on the table of this House, a history-making exercise. Again, I congratulate my colleague Minister for Education and for Finance. Mr. Speaker, the portfolio of Civil Service annual report reflects a year of transition, growth, and meaningful progress, a year in which the portfolio rose to meet significant organization and national demands while continuing to strengthen the foundations of a modern, accountable, and high-performing civil service. And I talk about high-performing civil service. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate Deputy Chief Officer Ms. Lauren Wright, and Ms. Barnes in the Portfolio Civil Service. I gave them a deadline, you gave me a deadline, and they met it and was able to, like I said, get the report down here. So I want us to thank Ms. Renita Barnes and Ms. Lauren Knight for that achievement. It is my privilege to highlight the achievements of the portfolio of the Civil Service, an entity that continues to serve our islands with professionalism, integrity, and unwavering commitment. Mr. Speaker, one of the most significant national undertakings in 2025 was the delivery of the historic dual general election and referendum. This was the first time in our history that both processes were conducted simultaneously. The Elections Office, which is part of the portfolio of the Civil Service, executed this complex operation with exceptional professionalism, and I want to ask all members of this House to recognize the outstanding performance of our Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Wesley Howell, and his team for the work that they did on the elections. Yes. The annual report records that 25,643 electors were on the electoral register, and 73% cast their ballots across 65 polling stations. The turnout placed the Cayman Islands among the highest in the Caribbean and Commonwealth. World. Equally impressive, Mr. Speaker, was that the average wait time for voters attending polling stations across the three islands were under 5 minutes. World class. This level of efficiency is a testament to the meticulous planning, rigorous training, and deep commitment to public trust demonstrated by the Elections Office. The Elections Office also received international recognition for providing exemplary accessibility for persons with disabilities, which included prioritizing polling station access and house-to-house mobile voting, with the head of the independent international observers describing the Elections Office as going the extra mile in this regard. Mr. Speaker, following the election, the portfolio led a coordinated cross-ministry transition program to ensure continuity of government. This included the delivery of a comprehensive post-election reorganization policy and toolkit, a senior leadership strategic retreat, and the alignment and realignment of ministries and portfolios to the priorities of the new government. The portfolio also provided coordinated advice on potential initiatives for the government's first 100 days, ensuring a smooth and effective transition. Mr. Speaker, 2025 was a year of significant policy and legislative advancement. In July 2025, the succession planning policy was launched, making a significant milestone in the CIG's journey to formalize arrangements that enable and support Caymanians in reaching their career aspirations within the civil service. The succession planning policy established the civil service succession planning framework, including providing details of the succession planning steering committee, succession plans, key role identification, and the succession development pool selection process. It also provides definition for key managerial and key technical roles within the civil service and provides the details of the 2025 succession planning pilot program, which was for the role of Chief HR Officer. To advance Goal 6 of the Civil Service Strategic Plan, create a culture of accountability, the Discipline Review Committee completed a comprehensive review of the disciplinary framework. This work culminated in which was submitted to Cabinet for consideration. On the 13th of November, 2025, Cabinet approved the Personnel Amendment Regulations, which took effect in March of this year. This amendment significantly streamlined and modernized the civil service disciplinary provisions, strengthening both performance management and disciplinary process. Enhancing CIG's disciplinary framework ensures that instances of poor performance and misconduct can be addressed in a timely and proportionate manner. This in turn supports improved service delivery across the civil service, enabling faster, more reliable, and high-quality outputs for government. Mr. Speaker, the portfolio advanced legislation work enabling immigration term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants, and I believe the Minister for Caymanian Employment has an announcement about that today, aligning the civil service with national immigration policy. This includes amendments to the Public Service Management Act and the drafting of corresponding personnel regulations. With these changes, the employment of non-Caymanians within the civil service will align with the length of time as is applicable to private sector workers in the Cayman Islands as per the Immigration Transition Act, which is 9 years. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to say that now that the Transition Act has now come into force, we will now be submitting our changes to caucus and cabinet so that the civil service rules can now come into effect as well. But we had to wait for the national legislation to come into effect before we could implement ours. So that is coming, Mr. Speaker, next week. In 2025, the civil service continued to strengthen its culture of engagement and performance. The 9th Annual Employee Engagement Survey received 3,961 responses, representing an 81% response rate. The engagement index rose to 74%, the highest score since the survey began. The score for the statement, "I feel proud to be a civil servant," remained at 90%, reflecting a deep organizational pride. Mr. Speaker, that is a percentage that really makes me feel proud. 90% of the civil servants who took the survey feel proud to be a civil servant. Other top scoring statements included, "I'm aware of the civil service vision to be a world-class civil service," was 95%. "I have the skills I need to do my job effectively," which scored 94%. "And I am interested in my work," which included 94%. These results reflect a workforce that is motivated, aligned, and committed to excellence, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 2025, the government implemented a 5% cost of living adjustment and increased the civil service minimum salary to $3,000. Measures strengthen financial resilience of our employees. Additionally, the average annual salary for civil servants increased by $4,200 compared to 2024 and increased to $63,361. This investment reflects our commitment to fair compensation and to support the well-being of our people in a high-cost environment. Mr. Speaker, we continue to invest in talent development and capacity building. In 2025, the Civil Service College supported thousands of hours of learning, with 160 civil servants earning ILM qualifications, 30 completing coaching for impact, and nearly 7,100 LinkedIn learning courses completed. These achievements reflect our commitment to developing exceptional leaders and equipping our workforce with the skills needed to thrive in a rapidly evolving public sector. Of note, at the Cayman Islands Society for Human Resource Professionals 25th Anniversary Award Gala in October, the Civil Service College won the Beacon Award for Talent Development, outperforming our private sector partners. This recognition speaks volumes about the quality and impact of the civil service work and leadership. At the same gala, Chief Officer Gloria McField-Nixon, who is now our Deputy Governor Designate, was presented with the Pinnacle Award for HR Leadership. Ms. McField-Nixon was selected from among several accomplished HR professionals from the private sector, with the HR Society recognizing her exemplary leadership, strategic vision, and contributions to public sector reform. These dual honors, the Beacon Award for Talent Development and the Pinnacle Award for HR Leadership, highlight the continued commitment of the Cayman Islands Civil Service to developing its people, fostering leadership, and delivering excellence to the public. Mr. Speaker, you would have heard the Minister of Education talk about the ratings at his schools, and I could speak about the Office of Education Standards, whose continued work support the raising of educational standards throughout the Cayman Islands. During 2025, the OES conducted 32 inspections, exceeding its annual target of 28. This included 10 full inspections, 10 full early childhood inspections, 3 follow-through inspections, 7 intern school audits, and 2 monitoring visits. Notably, of the 10 schools receiving inspections, 4 government schools were judged good. 4 government schools were judged good, marking an improvement from their previous inspection outcomes. This in addition to the government schools that were already judged as good, bringing the total number of good government schools to 8, and I believe, Mr. Speaker, that represents 50% of all our government schools. A tremendous achievement, but as the Minister of Education says, we're not stopping there. We're going to all good or excellent. In early 2025, the OES also did work to develop a new post-16 inspection framework to strengthen the evaluation of education and training across the Cayman Islands. The goal was to maintain rigorous inspection practices while responding to the diverse pathways, learner profiles, and outcomes that define this stage of education. A local post-16 task force working collaboratively with 3 international consultants with the OES team ensured the framework reflected for both local priorities and global best practice. The new framework was implemented during the initial phase of Cycle 4 of the Cycle 4 inspection program in November 2025. This marked the first time post-16 provision was evaluated using standards designed specifically for the sector, enabling a more accurate, meaningful, and purpose-built assessment of this phase of education. Mr. Speaker, within my office, the Office of the Deputy Governor, work continued to strengthen risk management across the civil service. The ODG completed cross-government external risk assessments and advanced the enterprise risk management framework, ensuring the civil service remains resilient and prepared for emerging challenges. This work is essential to safeguarding public services and ensuring continuity during times of uncertainty. The Strategic Reforms Implement Unit also strengthened project delivery capacity with 63 civil servants earning globally recognized certification in project and change management. The Management Support Unit within POCS strengthened program management of the 2024-2026 Civil Service Strategic Plan through the introduction of a delivery tracking dashboard, improved project scoping, and a greater alignment of deliverables across all 6 goal areas. This work enhanced oversight, accountability, and performance monitoring across the civil service. Additionally, the Management Support Unit enhanced strategic planning capability through strategic planning facilitator training, equipping ministries, portfolios, offices, and departments with the in-house expertise to develop high-quality strategic plans. MSU also provided management advice and support to client entities to advance strategic planning and, where appropriate, validate strategic direction. During 2025, POCS Job Evaluation Team undertook the CIG First Talent Scarcity Survey to identify critical roles within the service where challenges to recruitment had been encountered over recent years to better inform management of government talent risk. Mr. Speaker, in 2025, POCS continued to invest in Caymanian talent. During the summer, as you heard earlier this morning, Mr. Speaker, more than 200 interns were placed across 59 civil service entities, strengthening partnerships with private sector organizations, including one with overseas offices, expanded opportunity for Caymanian youth. To further support young Caymanians in advancing their careers, 3 new Caymanian graduates joined the civil service through the Emerging Talent Program, gaining experience by joining the Department of Environmental Health, Mosquito Research and Control Unit, and the Ministry of Health, Environment, and Sustainability, respectively. And Mr. Speaker, what that means is those 3 young Caymanians came from college directly into the civil service, into permanent jobs, something that we have been talking about for a long time. Our Second Chances programs will give people with a conviction a second chance, provided opportunities for 6 new participants. They joined the civil service, including agriculture, public works, planning, and the fire service, bringing the total number of participants who have been through the program to 22. And Mr. Speaker, of that 22, 18 have been highly successful. That's a great result, Mr. Speaker. That was 18 persons who were unable to get a job, who were unable to contribute, are now productive members of our society. Mr. Speaker, to help our neighbors in Jamaica following the devastating impacts of Hurricane Melissa, the data team within POCS will launch CIG Cares initiative through the MyVista system, enabling civil servants to contribute via salary deductions. The initiative raised over $26,000 for relief efforts. POCS also processed 289 emergency salary advances for Jamaican nationals in the civil service, enabling them to provide immediate support to their families during a difficult time. Mr. Speaker, the Cayman Islands National Archives continue to support good governance by strengthening records and information management practices through continued ongoing stakeholder engagement to support compliance with copyright requirements for SENA's public reproduction services, with foundational workflow processes now in place. SENA also made special contributions during 2025, which included the production of a 1-minute Instagram reel highlighting 1945 Christmas communications, featuring historical government notices and voiceover by the Honorable Deputy Premier, Mr. Gary Ruddy, and the Honorable G. Wayne Panton, presenting greetings from their ancestors. The Commission Secretariat delivered an expanded program of public relations and educational initiatives in 2025. This included targeted outreach campaigns, media engagement, digital communication improvements, and structured educational sessions for civil servants and members of the public. Including in the initiatives delivered by Commission Secretariat was the expansion of the Bill of Rights training program, including targeting models for senior decision makers. Collectively, these efforts enhance visibility and accessibility and understanding of the role of the commissions in safeguarding governance and rights in the Cayman Islands. During 2025, the Internal Audit Service implemented its quality assurance program, including fully implementing all recommendations from their last external quality assessment. Additionally, the IIS undertook 8 investigations, providing 1,096 hours of advisory support, and issued their annual report and opinions for 2024. Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, with respect to the Passport and Corporate Services Office, which also forms part of this portfolio, progress was made with the development of the Adult Online Passport Renewal Platform for BOTCs. Additionally, the Passport Office completed the online payment portal, allowing applicants to process their payments by debit credit card, and converted all applications to e-forms, enabling applicants to have access and their ability to complete their forms from their electronic devices. Mr. Speaker, our commitment to community engagement remains strong. The 2025 Deputy Governor's 5K Challenge, under the theme Empowering with Every Step, raised $93,660 for 3 deserving charities. Participation reached 2,485 persons across all 3 islands. And I was especially proud to see that the event has now expanded internationally, with the Deputy Governor of Turks and Caicos also hosting her first Deputy Governor's 5K Challenge. This milestone reflects the spirit of service and generosity that defines our civil service. Mr. Speaker, as I prepare to conclude my tenure in 2026, I reflect with immense pride on the progress we have made together, and I sincerely feel that together we have built a strong, resilient, and modern civil service. I am confident that the organization is well positioned to thrive under new leadership. We spoke with Ms. Gloria McField-Nixon this morning to continue delivering outstanding results for the people of the Cayman Islands. Mr. Speaker, I want to sincerely thank the Chief Officer, who is now the Deputy Governor Designate, Ms. Gloria McField-Nixon, for a year of outstanding performance to get us to where we are today. Huge ticket items like disciplinary improvements, our first ever succession planning policy, introducing of term limits were all projects that were delivered within that portfolio and delivered to a world-class level. We are all very proud and thankful for the work that Ms. Gloria McField-Nixon and the team at POCS does. She is supported by able deputies, Mr. Ryan, who was here earlier, Mr. Lauren Knight, who is off today, but well-deserved. And I want to thank her and the entire team for all the work that they do. I want to thank my team in my office, the Office of the Deputy Governor, led by Ms. Rodriguez. The entire team there does an outstanding job. We talked about the risk management, and we have now introduced security vetting. Again, all of our civil service. I commend this report to the House, to all the staff in the portfolio of the civil service for their dedication, professionalism, and service to our islands. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much.
Honorable Deputy Governor, I would like to personally congratulate you on the civil service, because you know that seeing reports coming in like this in a timely fashion are dear to my heart. Anyone who knows my history with the Public Accounts Committee and the ministries and portfolios and SAGs and government knows that this is where we want to get, yes, sir. And I congratulate them on getting there.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you, sir. You set the tune way back when. You called the CFOs down here and you said, you demanded that we get better, sir. And along with the member for Bodden West, held our feet to the fire, Mr. Speaker, and you can see today that we have made significant progress, and we respect the work of the PSC, led by Mr. Georgetown East, and we respect the work of the Auditor General, and we are now making meaningful progress to deliver on our mandate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Report in accordance with Standing Order 48-2 of the Parliament Standing Orders 2025, Cabinet's decisions in response to the private members' motions passed on the 5th of March 2026, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Premier.
Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay on the table a report in accordance with Standing Order 48-2 of the Parliament's Standing Orders 2025, decisions in response to private member motions passed on the 5th of March 2026.
So ordered. Does the Honorable Premier wish to speak thereto?
Briefly, Mr. Speaker. In response, Cabinet's decision in response to private members' motion number 4, regarding mask wearing, that has been assigned to the Cabinet Office to develop recommendations and the implementation of the prohibition while taking into account religious, human rights implications and the suggested medical and professional protection equipment exemptions. In relation to motion number 5, The mandatory redlining of amending bills, that has been assigned to Attorney General's chambers to take forward to develop a plan of action by identifying lead officers as well as appropriate software and training program for ministry so that they can effect the redlining of amending bills presented to Parliament. In relation to motion number 6, duty-free importation of recycling equipment, that has been assigned to the Minister for District Admin and Home Affairs as part of his ongoing work to update amendments for the Customs and Tariff Act, particularly as a targeted view to encourage specific behaviors such as the 4 R's of environmental sustainability, which are reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. And in relation to motion number 10, limiting social media for children under the age of 16, Cabinet's decision was very much guided by my consultation with the mover of the motion, the member for Georgetown West, in that we will establish a select committee under Section 89 of the Standing Orders to make recommendations, also consult, particularly bring in the Youth Parliament to get their views, and after the recommendations have been compiled, they will be delivered to the Law Reform Commission to take the work forward from a legislative drafting perspective. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With your indulgence and leeway, I just want to ask for a procedural matter in respect to the reports that the standing orders doesn't cover. So if you give leeway, I just want to quickly ask the member and congratulate him for this very new provision in the standing order and breaking us into the 21st century in respect to this. So I thank him so much. But I was hoping that you would allow me to ask the question about the ambiguity around national policy as per the...
No, I don't think the Premier will be in a position. I think that's a matter we need to refer to the Standing Orders Committee when we set it up in terms of the definition of national policy.
I agree, sir, but at this particular point, there seems to be a dispute about the interpretation.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that the Premier will be in a position to settle that dispute, so let's leave it to the Standing Orders Committee, please.
I agree. With your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, with you being the head of this House, the interpretation will have to be given by you, and I was hoping that you can give it on record, because I don't want the circumstances of a motion being decided arbitrarily that it shouldn't have to go to Cabinet because it doesn't meet the definition. So if you give your interpretation, because we have to rule, I don't want a circumstance where I'm going to be...
Yeah, but I would not be prepared to make a public record statement on that just being sprung on me like this. So again, I would prefer that the matter be considered by the Standing Orders Committee, which is a committee of the whole House, and we can trash it all out and then decide what the policy should be.
Urgent questions? None. Questions to members of the government. The Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition, elected member for Georgetown Central, to ask the Honourable Minister of Finance, Economic and Development, question number 117.
Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and elected member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 117, standing on my name on the order paper. And Mr. Speaker, I will elaborate a little bit further on the question because it seems to have inadvertently forgotten that it should have been Sister Islands rather than Cayman Brac, but I will ask the question as reported and ask the member to possibly consider that in his response. Can the Honourable Minister say if Cineco covers travel costs from Cayman Brac to Grand Cayman for medical services that are not available in Cayman Brac, either by appointment or referral?
Honourable Minister of Finance and Economic Development.
Mr. Speaker, the answer, Cineco covers travel costs from Cayman Brac to Grand Cayman for medical services which are not available in Cayman Brac once there is a valid referral via Faith Hospital and Seneco is involved in the coordination process prior to travel. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Honorable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister say if that also includes Little Cayman? Because we know from a travel perspective, most cases in order to get to Grand Cayman, sometimes you have to travel from Little Cayman to Cayman Brac, and from Cayman Brac to Grand Cayman. I know that my question specified Cayman Brac only.
Yes, it does.
Does any other member wish? Okay, next question.
The elected member for Red Bay to ask the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development, question number 118.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Honourable Minister of Finance and Economic Development, question number 118. Can the Honourable Minister advise whether, in light of recent developments in the Middle East, the government has received or requested any updated projections or estimates from the Economics and Statistics Office or other sources regarding inflation or broader cost of living pressures in the Cayman Islands during 2026, and if so, what those projections indicate?
Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the answer. The government has received updated projections on inflation and cost of living pressures for 2026 and 2027 from the Economics and Statistics Office, the ESO. Given the fluidity of the situation in the Middle East, the ESO has been routinely advising the government on potential impacts, with the most recent forecast prepared on 22nd April 2026. The latest projection for 2026 is higher than the 2.6% shown in the planned estimates documents tabled during the 2026-2027 budget presentation. The updated forecasts indicate that headline inflation is expected to rise to approximately 5.3% in 2026 before easing to 4.1% in 2027. The anticipated increase in 2026 above previous projections is driven primarily by developments in global energy markets. International crude oil prices has already grown about 40% higher in March 2026 compared to March 2025 and are expected to remain elevated in 2026, consistent with the International Monetary Fund's projection of 21.4% increase in 2026. Given our energy and food import dependence, this higher oil price is expected to quickly feed through the domestic economy in electricity, transport, and shipping costs. The estimates also highlight that food prices are likely to contribute to upward pressure on cost of living. The IMF expects global food commodity prices to increase by 6% in 2026, and the World Bank's food price index has already increased by 5.1% year on year as of March 2026. Fertilizer prices, of which roughly 20 to 30% of global shipments pass through the Strait of Hormuz, rose by 42.5% year on year in March 2026, and these increases typically take several quarters to work through to global supply chains. As a result, food inflation may persist in 2027, even if energy markets stabilize. The ESO emphasizes that the conflict in the Middle East remains ongoing, and accordingly, the estimates presented herein are indicative only of the inflationary impact ahead. Given the situation continues to evolve, the exact magnitude of effects remains uncertain. To address these pressures, the government is already actively reviewing measures to address the impact of the rising costs on our people. Some of these measures were discussed actually yesterday in the meeting of this Honourable Parliament.
Member for Red Bay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Minister for that informed informative response. It's situation certainly seems to be much worse than I was expecting, but I did expect it to be pretty bad. And what I'll ask the minister, are there, as I mentioned yesterday, are there any other things the government is doing to look to see what can be done to assist our people in other areas other than the fuels area we discussed yesterday? I know it's difficult, but is there anything else being considered?
Honorable Minister of Finance.
I mean, it's not a gotcha question. I'm just really, really keen to know.
Mr. Speaker, there are a number of areas in which the government has already started, one of which, for example, is in ECAP funding. We've increased ECAP funding across the board. That budget doubled from $926,000 in 2025 to $2.1 million in 26 and another $2.1 million in 27. I made a statement on that in the House at our last meeting. That is going to assist with vulnerable families. However, it's not lost on me that the government needs to continue to look at other areas of the economy. And so when we look holistically at where we are, we certainly are aware that we need to do as much as possible. We don't have all of the detailed answers that the member might request right now. We are reviewing the tariff codes and looking very closely at whether there's other areas that we potentially could try to pass on savings. You know, the historic problem we've had with that is ensuring that they trickle down, but we are looking to see if there's some other areas with the vast majority of people in the population consume. The work around trade routes and trying to come up with new trade routes is ongoing. But again, that is going to be something that will bear fruit in the more medium term. But we have to do that work because we do need to make Cayman more resilient to these external shocks and these pressures. We've heard the work that's happening in the Ministry of Agriculture around poultry. Again, that work is important work, but we need to ensure that we get it right, that we can build sustainable on-island capacity that is comparable in price once you have whatever government subsidies would be given in those industries. But again, the Minister for Agriculture is working assiduously. We know he has the egg program. I know he's keen to get a much wider poultry program so that we can start to continue to not only have greater on-island capacity, but ensure that it's affordable.
Grade B.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I thank the Minister again. Yeah, it certainly is looking rather dire, and as you indicated, possibly going into 2027. There are too many unknowns, Mr. Speaker. I did, if you humor me just for a second, I did mention yesterday the act in Bermuda that allows them to regulate fuel prices there. So I'll ask the Minister to look at that, as I did yesterday. I'll ask his commitment to do so. And also, if the government, if he could answer on behalf of the government, be willing, or maybe they already are, looking at doing what my colleague from Georgetown Central did on radio just this week, I think it was, educating our people that we're going to need to tighten our belts and watch our spending and save our money. I think from what I'm hearing, that message needs to start going out widely. So if the Minister can speak to those things, I'd be grateful, sir.
Mr. Speaker, let me be clear about the very first point. Of course, we're going to be looking at other models. We're at the stage now of developing the drafting instructions for how the fuel sector is going to be regulated. Critically important piece of work. We've had that whole sector has just been too opaque for decades. We've all just had too much rumor, innuendo, and just government just not having any real firm knowledge base and understanding of how the intercompany relationships that exist are going to be monitored so that we ensure that our pricing model is fair. So we certainly will look at Bermuda and what they're doing. Learning from others is key. And on the last point, of course, that is a part of any of these exercises is ensuring we're clear with our people around what the potential outcomes are going to be and how that's going to look. But again, we're going to continue to work in looking at the tariff code to see if there's other areas that we also can assist to ensure we bring cost of living in line and low as possible.
Member for Raidby.
Mr. Speaker, I just urge some pace and some speed.
No, ask a question. You're really getting into too many explanations. Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in light of the answer given by the Honourable Minister that suggests that our inflation will increase by over 100% in this year, can the Minister say exactly what does that mean for cost of living for the average person, and what can the public expect because they'll be listening to this?
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the question that the member asks is a rather wide-ranging type of question in terms of what can the public expect. We are going to be working to not only address cost of fuel and when all of the when we've gotten all of the details fed through, we will then revise these numbers. These numbers were prepared and doesn't have the impacts right now of the due to rebates, etc. So one good piece of news is that the 5.3% number is actually going to come down once we've factored those in, and that's going to have a pretty significant impact, because right now, in the projections, as you can imagine, the key driver is an expectation that electricity, gas, and other fuels would rise 14%. So that is the key driver, and that ripples into everything else. Food and beverage, 4.6%. Again, housing and utilities, 7.2%. But again, once we factor in, then what I can give a commitment is we'll get that out and we'll get that to members first, and then I'll do a press release as to what the new projected inflation rates would be, incorporating the lowering of the duty. And the last thing that I'll say is, I said yesterday, members of the House, we need to look very carefully about what all of our fiscal measures mean to people's lives. I've said it, and I'll say it again, because repetition bears emphasis. I don't live in a world where paying attention in the short term to one measure in our FFR, whether we have a surplus or deficit, should be the determinant factor as to what we do from a policy standpoint. There's tons of countries in this world that are running deficits, right? It's whether it is sustainable or not, and you have a plan to recover.
Deputy Leader of the Opposition, member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In light of this new news, Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Minister say whether he, as Minister for Finance, has had any conversations with the rest of his colleagues about addressing the cost of living adjustment that has been what most would consider due to the civil servants as a result of this 100% increase in inflation?
Mr. Speaker, if I'm remembering the numbers from the budget, I think it's $500 and something million. Every 1% is just north of a $5 million increase to the budget. If we do equity to SAGCs, it's mean $10 million. I think we need to be targeted and targeting costs in the first instance. We need to target costs in the first instance.
Leader of Opposition, a member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on page 2 of his answer, he spoke about fertilizer prices, which are expected to roughly increase by 20 to 30%. Has the minister spoken to his cabinet colleagues or his cabinet about reducing or having initiatives so that it doesn't affect our local farmers?
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Agriculture already has a very robust program around how it supports farmers, and the ministers, as I understand it, well aware of the sector and is preparing even more support for farmers.
For Bordentown West.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to ask your indulgence for a little bit of leeway before I get into the question. The committee that we formed agreed to yesterday, the Finance and Economic Risk Committee, this is exactly the reason why I asked for that committee to be formed, because we import a lot of our inflation, we import a lot of risk. And the idea behind this committee is exactly that. I mean, you look at the fertilizer issue. 30% of it comes between Russia and Ukraine. I mean, in terms of grains and everything else. So that is something that has started from the Russia-Ukraine war. And it's about recognizing these risks, these economic and financial risks to our country that we need to basically start planning for and mitigating for as they come see fit. So with that said, actually, we don't have a question. I'll just use that just to get what I need to get off my chest. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Cayman Islands East. Just hold it because the member seems to be consulted. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to the Honourable Minister responsible for Finance as it relates to these forecasted inflationary increases. Can the Honourable Minister give this Honourable House some comfort as it relates to Cayman Airways and their unforeseen colossal fuel increases? How will that affect especially the domestic airfares and other costs that has no elasticity in them?
Thank you very much for that question. As I understand it, Cayman Airways is presently putting together a presentation that will be forthcoming that would incorporate this and some other operational matters that were not foreseen during the creation of the budget. And so that would be something that Finance Committee is probably going to have to be called for to deal in June. I think it's June that we're anticipating that. But once we get that information, we'll get it to members first so that members are briefed and we can have a meaningful discussion in committee.
Deputy Leader of Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'll understand if the member may not be able to fully answer, so I'll be happy to take the answer in writing. Based on my economic understandings and how our principles work, is the projected increase in food prices that we import means that the government will actually make more money on higher cost of goods because we charge based on the price on the invoice that is imported. So the projections on revenue from foods that are imported would have been estimated obviously before Christmas when we were doing the budget, and with a potential increase, I wouldn't want to put a figure out there, but it says 21.4% according to what the minister just read from the ESO's projections. Would that mean that the government will be making more money on those imports? And if that is so, will the government be willing to consider potentially a duty concession for a period of time on food goods to alleviate the pressures on the people of the Cayman Islands?
Mr. Speaker, I am going to provide this formally in writing to the member, but one thing that is an item that we have glossed over a lot is how much foodstuffs are already duty-free in Cayman. So let's be clear. Let's not set expectations that we as Parliament can't meet, and the public thinking that all of a sudden, with the stroke of a pen, we're going to make things duty-free that's already duty-free. So I don't know, and let me be clear, in our internal projections, food and beverages, if we can get this split out, but food and beverages are only projected to go up 4.6%. I was talking with the IMF's indicator globally, right? So I don't think that that's going to provide as much relief as the member may think, but certainly we'll be looking at all of the cost drivers, because that is what we got to attack first, is how much we can forego in revenue to ensure that we can pass it on to Caymanians to keep cost of living down.
The elected member for Georgetown East asked the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development, question 119.
Member for Georgetown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 119, standing in my name, to the Minister of Finance and Economic Development. Can your Honourable Minister state the amount of fuel, that is gasoline and diesel, held in reserve by local suppliers Sol and Rubis, and the length of time they are expected to last in the event of a complete disruption of the fuel supply chain as a result of the US-Iran war?
Minister of Finance and Economic Development.
Mr. Speaker, the quantities of fuel reserves held by Sol and Rubis at any given point are not fixed, but vary with shipping schedules, storage turnover, and operational requirements. For fuel operations on Grand Cayman, both entities follow a standard practice of replenishing fuel on a monthly basis, topping up to maximum capacity within their available storage limits. Cadence of imports increases when storage facilities are temporarily non-operational due to repair needs, as typically occurs from time to time. For fuel operations on the sister islands, fuel is replenished every 3 months in Cayman Brac, topping up to maximum capacity within the available storage limits. Little Cayman is topped up from the Cayman Brac reserves as needed. Fuel reserves at 20th April 2026. Supply level in Grand Cayman, 1,223,674.68 imperial gallons of gasoline existed, and if there was no further supplies of gasoline to 20 April 2026, the 1.2 million gallons of gasoline would be used up by 21st of May 2026. As of 20th of April 2026, the next anticipated date of receipt of additional gasoline supplies is actually today, and actually the ship, as I understand it, came in and was offloading yesterday. Fuel reserves at 2,788,614.19 imperial gallons of diesel existed. If there are no further supplies of diesel after 20th of April 2026, the 2.78 million gallons of diesel would be used by the 10th of May 2026. As of 20th of April 2026, the next anticipated date of receipt of additional diesel is again today, 1st May 2026. The tanker arrived in Georgetown yesterday, 30th of April 2026, and began its discharge of fuel to on-land storage facilities. At the time of finalizing this answer, information was not readily on hand to enable the quantities given on the preceding paragraphs to be updated. However, it is the case that these quantities are enhanced by the arrival of the tanker in Georgetown yesterday. Supply level in Cayman Brac, 157,912,000.21 imperial gallons of gasoline, and if there are no further supplies of gasoline after the 20th of April 2026, these 157,912 gallons, imperial gallons of gasoline would be used up by 2nd of August 2026. The next anticipated receipt of additional supplies is 4th June 2026. There are no indications of any expected disruptions. 449,636.06 imperial gallons of diesel. And if there are no further supplies of diesel after the 20th of April 2026, the 449,636 gallons of diesel would be used up by 5th of July, 2026. The next anticipated date of receipt of additional diesel supplies is same day as gasoline, of course, 4th of June 2026. There's no indications of expected disruptions to the 4th June 2026 delivery. In addition to the above, both suppliers will together maintain an additional minimum of approximately 12 days diesel supply for energy generation at all times. This is a condition enshrined in supply contracts between the suppliers and Caribbean Utilities Company, CUC. As for the sister islands, storage capacity lasts for the 3 months, hence the quarterly reorder point. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members, before we continue questions, I'd just like to remind members of Standing Order 35, contents of questions. A question shall not seek information set forth in accessible public official publications or ordinary works of reference. Member for Bordentown East. Georgetown East, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, through to the Minister, can you say the fuel consumed by CUC, are those numbers included in the amounts on reserve, or are they maintained separately at CUCs?
Mr. Speaker, my apologies to the member. I will have to inquire. I'm not 100% sure if those are already included in this number or not. I suspect they are, but I don't want to say yes definitively, but I'll double check and get that answer.
I appreciate that, sir. And if you want to answer, write to me afterwards, that'd be totally fine. Another question, Mr. Through you to the Minister. I really neglected to ask you about aviation fuel. And I'm wondering if you are able to share any information here, or just to provide it what the reserves are and how long it would expect to last.
That's the Minister of Finance.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, that is an excellent question, so I'll get that data as well. That would be for the depot up at the airport.
Member for Georgetown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One last question through to the Minister. Do you know if there are any contingency plans by the fuel suppliers to source fuel from other sources other than the U.S. Gulf Coast, which is, I understand, that's where we're getting our fuel from?
The short answer is no, and part of that reason is I want to get through with what the legislative framework ought to look like and how we see the industry and how it ought to be regulated, and then have a wholesome discussion with the industry. I don't want to go in a piecemeal approach. I want to make sure that we're looking at this thing thoroughly.
Leader Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One question and an administrative clarification. Just from my memory, because I wanted to write it down, but you spoke so fast, Mr. Speaker. What was the standing order you wanted us to pay close attention to?
38, 35, K.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can I ask the Honourable Minister, based on the fuel importation, they obviously have to present their invoices, and maybe a little bit early, I don't know, but with the question highlighting the fact that fuel is expected in today and I think yesterday, and then for the Cameron Brack another date, have they have any idea of what the potential increases could be as a result of the cost based on invoices of those new supply batches that are coming in? Or have they done that analysis yet? Just trying to get the public to prepare themselves as to whether there's going to be a spike in fuel at the pump or not.
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I would have to Mr. Speaker, so that information has not been provided as yet, but as soon as we get the information through OFRIG, we certainly will ensure that they continue to have the communications that they've had. I know OFRIG has been very forthcoming in putting out press releases to try to make sure that what information comes out is accurate versus the fake news that we know floated around a few weeks ago. But OFRIG hasn't been given the data yet to do the analysis.
Honourable Deputy Leader Opposition and member for Central, Georgetown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Honourable Member for that. Interesting, I don't want to preempt a different question as before the House, but can I ask that that entity ensures that when they are sent out the information, that members of the Parliament be included in that circulation, because we sometimes quite feel embarrassed when things are happening and announcements are happening that we have no idea about. Otherwise, if you want to give a commitment that OFRIG will inform members of the opposition so we are aware as to that information that I was just asking you, so we can help distribute it to our constituents, prepare for any spike in fuel prices.
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, if the member is asking for OFRIG to set up a distribution group for members of Parliament to be included on with press releases, I couldn't see I'm having a difficulty with that. But let me be clear, OFRIG press releases go out, they're independent, and you see them and I see them. They don't send them to the ministry for approval or anything, right? So obviously they do operate as a true independent regulator, but certainly if you want to be included, I'll ask the CEO. I can't see a challenge.
Member for Cayman Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, I'd like to ask Honourable Minister if he could inform the Honourable House what is the current status as it refers to the dire pending issue with the pilots. And the reason I'm asking this, Mr. Speaker, so that persons who are from Grand Cayman who may not be familiar, is that they seem to have an ongoing, very serious issue with the supply of pilots. And I understand as recent as the last time that was there, it was a green and red and amber. And for the relevance, for those who may be wondering where I'm going with this, is that if we don't have it and the ship doesn't come because of the incident they had with the environment last time and vice versa. So I think it's a matter of national concern that we get some indication whether or not the Mint's in a position to do it today, that we could be updated, because that will definitely have a direct impact on the for the sister islands, seeing that we're now flirting with the commencement of hurricane season.
Mr. Speaker, I think the minister responsible for reports would be more appropriate and better positions to answer, because his agency was directly involved in that issue and not mine. I don't want to seem like I'm not wanting to answer the question, but I don't know. The minister responsible has indicated he would give a full and detailed written disclosure to the member. I don't know if the member would be satisfied with that.
Mr. Speaker, this member has a very profound and historic record of being satisfied with reasonable responses with genuine intent.
Member for Reid B.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Having a look at, through to the Minister, having a look at the information provided in your answer in terms of the volume of fuel available on Grand Cayman and the expected date as to when it would be finished, can the Minister say if OFREG is doing, or will he ask them to do, an analysis in terms of the fuel, when it was provided, and the rates of increase that has recently happened, just to make sure that they're not preempting and charging more than they should be based on what they may have originally charged for the fuel they had on hand?
Minister of Finance, I think that's...
Mr. Speaker, the question as to pricing and how that pricing gets pushed out is around the inventory reorder points and the inventory method used, and OFREG feels comfortable that certainly in their recalculation that piece of it doesn't. The actual invoicing that happens within related parties.
Next question.
The elected member for Red Bay to ask the Honourable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs, question 120.
Member for Reid B.
Thank you, sir. I rise to ask the Honourable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs, question number 120. Can the Honourable Minister advise the current status and timeline for the development of the proposed purpose-built or updated Customs and Border Control Immigration Detention and Processing Center at the Fairbanks Road site? The total funding approved to date for this project, including any amounts expended or committed, and whether any land at or near the Fairbanks Road site has been identified, prepared, or designated for contingency used to accommodate migrants in the event of increased arrivals. Thank you.
Member for District Administration and Home Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the answer. On the current status and timeline, the Immigration Detention and Processing Center project is progressing as part of the government's broader national preparedness strategy to manage the national risk of an influx of irregular migrants. This risk, identified within the government's enterprise risk framework, highlights that a sudden influx of a few hundred irregular migrants will overwhelm Cayman's existing reception, shelter, and processing capacity if appropriate infrastructure is not in place in advance. This project is now in its active development phase. Preliminary site preparation works have been completed, including land clearance and grading, and a formal business case has been established to guide delivery. Procurement and implementation planning are currently underway. Given the unpredictable nature of migration flows and the current geopolitical tensions affecting migration patterns within the region, the government is adopting a phased and flexible delivery approach measured against this highly unpredictable risk. In the immediate term, this includes the deployment of a modular, rapidly deployable accommodation solution comprising prefabricated, containerized units with integrated basic living, sanitation, and support facilities. These systems can be transported efficiently, assembled within a short time frame, and operated either connected to existing utilities or independently where required. This approach allows for the timely establishment of controlled, centralized accommodation capacity, while longer-term infrastructure solutions may be considered by government in due course, as informed by the evolving risk environment. At this stage, the government is prioritizing a modular and scalable infrastructure solution which provides the flexibility to respond to fluctuating migration patterns in a cost-effective reduces the immediate need for large-scale permanent construction while preserving the option for longer-term infrastructure should future demand require it. Timelines for full delivery remain subject to procurement and statutory approvals. However, the modular accommodation solution being pursued allows for a significantly accelerated deployment timeframe with an estimated delivery and installation period of 8 to 12 weeks from the point of procurement. This represents a substantial improvement over traditional construction timelines and is a key factor in strengthening the Cayman Islands' preparedness to respond to a potential surge event. On the funding approved to date, based on the business case and project estimates, Cabinet has committed funding in the amount of $5.6 million for related capital expenditures that are expected to be incurred in 2026 to establish a dedicated migrant detention and processing site for multi-agency operations. Recognizing the national significance of this risk, all necessary preparatory site work has been ongoing and funded by the Ministry's existing 2026 capital budget. Together, these funding streams are facilitating delivery of site preparation, enabling works, and the deployment of modular accommodation infrastructure, along with associated planning.
Excuse me, sir. Member of the gallery. Not allowed to take pictures of the commission. Continue, Honorable Minister. Okay, who is he going to come and ask?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The deployment of modular accommodation infrastructure along with associated planning and implementation activities. To date, expenditure has been limited to essential preparatory works, including land clearance, demolition, and early stage project development activities required to advance the project. Further financial commitments will be undertaken in accordance with procurement approvals and delivery milestones. On contingency land identification and preparation, land at and near the Fairbanks Road site has already been identified, cleared, and prepared as part of the government's contingency planning for potential increases in migrant arrivals. Approximately 5 acres of Crown land at Fairbanks have been prepared to support the rapid deployment of temporary accommodation infrastructure. The site has been readied to enable scalable expansion as required. In addition, contingency locations have been identified and prepared in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, ensuring a coordinated, multi-island response capability. These measures reflect the reality that migration patterns are inherently unpredictable. While arrivals may fluctuate, our national risk assessments confirm that a sudden influx of irregular migrants will rapidly exceed current capacity and place significant strain on public services and national security systems. The current reliance on dispersed accommodations, including private rentals and civic centers, is neither sustainable nor cost-effective and places undue strain on communities, especially in the context of a mass influx. A centralized, properly managed facility will significantly enhance oversight, safety, and operational efficiency. Importantly, the solution being advanced is designed as a multi-purpose national asset, capable of being reconfigured and redeployed for other government uses, including emergency response, disaster relief, or accommodation for low-risk detainees, thereby ensuring long-term value. This project forms part of a proactive and responsible approach to managing a clearly identified national risk in a structured, secure, and humane manner. The government remains committed to a balanced approach, one that protects our communities while ensuring that all individuals are managed lawfully, with dignity, and in accordance with our international obligations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Raidby.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Seems like reliance is going to be on the modular units. Can the Minister advise us, or how many modular units are contemplated to be purchased for both Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I did hear the member correctly, you want to know how many modular units were being purchased for Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman? Contemplated, thank you. So right now, we are contemplating the procurement of enough modular units to house 240 persons. That's in the first instance. Available, we can expand. Depending on how we arrange the persons in there, we can add additional modular units. But with the rapid deployment and availability, as detailed in the answer of 8 to 12 weeks, should the need arise, Mr. Speaker, it is definitely accessible should we need to expand. In Cayman Brac, we have better shelter units there already. And those, and Little Cayman, we've identified a location for them as well. The plan, Mr. Speaker, is not to house and keep irregular or illegal migrants in the sister islands, but to have a quickly deployed relocation of those persons to Grand Cayman so that we don't need to duplicate the infrastructure across all islands.
In order to continue question time, I would invite the Premier to suspend Standing Order 36.3 to exceed 1 hour for question time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the suspension of Standing Order 36.3 to allow question time to proceed beyond 1 hour.
The question is that Standing Order 36.3 be suspended to allow the House to continue question time until the questions are completed. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those against, no. The ayes have it. Standing Order 36.3 has been suspended, and question time will continue until all questions on the order paper are answered. Member for Raidby.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I appreciate that we're continuing. Through you, sir, to the Minister. I know the response and what the Minister just said says 8 to 12 weeks from the point of procurement in terms of obtaining these units. But I would believe the Minister has a date in his head as to when that will be. So if he would share what the anticipated actual date, I know things can change, but what the date right now that we expect for these modular units to actually be in place.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I had a date, it would have been in the answer. Currently, we are still going through the procurement stage. And once that is complete, as we know, we heard earlier, Mr. Speaker, on the FFR and the procurement stipulations that we have to follow. Once that is complete from that date, we anticipate 8 to 12 weeks from then. What I have instructed is that this is a priority within my ministry. And just before I came to Parliament, another meeting was proceeding with pushing it forward. We recognize the urgency. So, Mr. Speaker, I anticipate that from now, we will definitely have these modular units here, if all remains equal, before the fall of this year, September.
Member for Raidby.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I knew the member had a date in his head, sir, so I thank him for that. Can the member, through you, sir, please speak about the security around those modular units. We've had a number of escapes. Let us know what aspects of security has been considered for those, please. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I can say, the modular units that are being contemplated is much more secure than a civic center, which we have been forced to use over the past few years. And like I said in my answer, the contemplation is to procure a product that can have use from multiple agencies, including low-risk prisoners. So we are working with the vendor to ensure that windows are reinforced, doors are able to be locked if necessary, if they need to be fully detained. But the most important part is most of these persons, the irregular migrants, just need to be housed with dignity. So there will be segregated areas of the project site with different varying levels of security. It is definitely not going to be a hotel or a campground, but the security will vary based on the individual that we have to house.
Member for Cayman East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A couple of questions, with your kind permission. First, as it relates to Fairbanks Road, they planned, as I understood, locale. If I could ask the Honourable Minister whether any due consideration has been given for the adjoining residential properties, and whether or not planning has or will specify notification be made thereto.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since 1999, the Fairbanks detentions or the Fairbanks prison has been in that locale. The police service detention center is in the same locale, as well as the youth detention center was contemplated for the same locale. All of these residents were aware that this area is used for national security purposes. And of course, if necessary, once we actually begin to deploy, we will inform the residents and keep them informed of our status. At this point, we did communicate with the public that we are clearing the site, but as planning progresses, we will communicate as needed with the residents in the locale. But again, Mr. Speaker, and to reassure the member, that area, it is definitely not going to be a free-for-all. The area will be properly secured, as the same with the Fairbanks prison, as is the same with the detention center, because again, it is not a campground. It is going to be a detention and processing center.
Member for Cayman East.
I'd like to thank the Honourable Minister for that response, and we'll see how history relates, because there have been breakouts in the area before, and I know from having served in government before that there are some real concerns. So if the Honourable Minister could keep his eye on top of that, I think it would be appreciated in that vicinity. Moving on then, Mr. Speaker, to Cayman Brac in particular, it says that contingency locations have been identified and prepared in Cayman Brac. I wonder if the Honourable Minister is in a position to share with the member from Cayman Brac East and the wider public where these locations are.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Without giving a block and parcel or coordinates, because I know my colleague will understand the location and of course, our constituents in Cayman Brac, the location is located near the agriculture grounds, between the asphalt plant and the agriculture grounds.
Member for Cayman Brac East.
And again, Mr. Speaker, thanks to the Honourable Minister, general but specific as it relates to Cayman Brac, obviously. These modular units, are they hurricane rated? And if not, what are the contingency plans for capacity during the advent of hurricanes as it relates to the capacity in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the better shelter units that were procured as a rapid deployment in the past have hurricane ratings. It's not to a standard of Category 5 because they're used to deploy in military areas in war zones. They are sturdy, they are structured, they have to go down on a foundation, but they can be put up very quickly. The new modular unit that we are looking at, investigating, and discussing is even more so safe during hurricanes, and we anticipate being able to use them in the event that a hurricane approaches. What we are doing right now, before we even move into signing any contract, is to discuss this with the Department of Planning and the Building Control Unit to ensure that it meets our building code. Because I can say now that thanks to my colleague, Minister Jay, we have the Cayman Islands building code, not only reliant on the Miami-Dade building code. So we are ensuring that it ticks all of our boxes, that it meets all standards applicable to building here in the Cayman Islands.
Member for Cayman Brac East.
Hopefully the last one, Mr. Speaker. I'll try my very best to form it into a question. But seeing that the detention center for non-Caymanians, in this particular case, immigrants and probably, if you drill down more, Cubans, have been so vastly exploited through the National Security Council, can I invite the Honourable Minister to liaise with his colleague, the Honourable Minister for Housing, to see if we can get housing for Caymanians on the national security agenda to have a similar expedition process, because it is a matter of national concern, not just immigrants.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I gladly welcome and accept the invitation. What I can assure the member and all colleagues in this House is that my minister and the entire Cabinet and caucus is quickly looking at how to roll out affordable housing. The minister this week just released and tabled on the floor and table of this honourable House the housing policy, the national housing policy. And it is something near and dear to his heart, as well as all of us. We recognize the need, and one key element, that we are looking at is how to expand beyond NHDT, beyond Sister Islands affordable housing, but with our private sector partners. As we learned today, Mr. Speaker, the value in private sector partners with interns, the same can be done with housing. So it is at the top of our agenda, and certainly anything that we can do to further expedite it, we will.
Okay. Mr. Chair. This will be the last question. Member for Bordentown East.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hadn't asked any, but thank you. Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask the Honourable Minister, when you talk about contingency, I know the Honourable Minister is in charge of the Bordentown Civic Centre. Can you give me any update on that facility, please?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the Civic Centre itself, to the Honourable Member, does not fall under me. That is through the Minister of Planning. However, it had been used as shelter for illegal and irregular migrants in the past. We all know the incident that happened there. It is currently going through an insurance claim, but we are going to remediate and have that back as a civic centre that all people of Bordentown and indeed the Cayman Islands can be proud of, and return it back to the people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The development, innovation, youth, sports, culture are inviting all MPs to appear on the steps of the Parliament for a photo holding a small Cayman flag in honor of 345 Cayman Day, today, May the 1st, at the start of the lunch break. And in so saying, the House is suspended until 2:30 for lunch.